Madero, ¿te puedo dejar mi currículum?
No, solo cogemos chicos, lo siento. No, solo cogemos chicos, lo siento. Solo cogemos chicos, lo siento. Lo siento.
Maquilladora.
Bombero.
Futbolista.
Médica. Polis.
Hey friend, but do you think we are going too fast?
Yes, I think we need an introduction.
Yes, I also think so.
Okay, if you want, you will have it.
Although we do not give the importance it deserves or that goes unnoticed in our daily lives, we must be aware of how this issue can determine our lives. To get clear conclusions about this, we have started by investigating what, in our opinion, is the beginning of the problem. As an indent, we must clarify we have designated this issue as a problem. We have realized that in our society, individuals are very unconsciously conditioned by what is well seen by society, in this case referring to jobs. Therefore, we consider it negative because individuals should not be conditioned by established gender roles. As I said before, we consider that the beginning of all of these are children. We have chosen them as a starting point after reading the child development theory of the American philosopher and sociologist George Herbert Mead. According to Mead, infants and young children first of all develop as social beings by imitating the actions of those around them. Play is one way in which this takes place, and in their play, small children often imitate what adults do. A further stage of child development occurs when the child is about 8 or 9 years old. Children at this stage learn to grasp what Mead termed the generalized order, the values and the moral rules of the culture in which they are developing. If you want to see the investigation we have done, please follow me.
We started by locating 6 schools, 5 of them belonging to the region of Murcia, consisting of 3 located in the capital, Narciso Yepes, María Maroto, and one that we cannot give his name, integrated only by girls. One in a nearby district called Casillas, Juan de la Cierva, and one in a village at 110 kilometers, Águilas, Joaquín Tendero. And finally, one located in Albacete, Luis de Mateo. We have done some questionnaires to deliver in the different schools to individuals of the first and last year of the primary stage, 6 and 7 years, and 11 and 12 years respectively. In total, we gathered 118 individuals of 6th grade, of which 69 are of the female gender and 49 of the male gender, and 99 of first of primary, being 58 of the feminine gender and 41 of the masculine one. We start with a questionnaire model and then adapt it to the age of the individuals. Both surveys had the same questions asked in different ways, with the exception that in the 6th grade we add some questions related to the differentiation of qualities and character of men and women. Once the questionnaires were collected, we set out to correct them using an Excel to collect the information. In addition, we conducted interviews with subjects of the same age as those already mentioned and with similar questions.
Maquilladora.
Bombero.
Futbolista.
Médica. En ser lista y fuerte. En polis.
Pues higienista dental y trabaja en una residencia. Electricista.
Mi padre trabaja en un sitio que de móvil y mi madre trabaja en la casa.
Pues mi padre trabaja en una empresa de comida que se llama Mayor Alimentación y mi madre trabaja de peluquera.
La meva mare no està en un pare papá en coches a arreglar.
Pues trabajé en una perfumería, en una fábrica de helados. Pues ingeniería dental.
El de mi padre, porque ahí gana dinero.
El de mi padre porque hace más amigos y porque hay comida que no sabía que existía.
Y de la mamá. Porque faz faena en ella. El de mamá, que hace peluquería.
El de mi madre, porque me gusta más estar con la gente.
Soy gracioso, soy delgado y soy amigo de mis amigos.
Amable y que, no sé, cuando me hacen algo, pues yo actúo.
Guapo, soy listo y soy súper guapo. Alegre, chillona. Me encanta ser guay, me encanta ser fuerte y me encanta ser sabio.
Amable.
Muy tonto. No hace los deberes.
Es guapa, es muy buena, me deja cada vez que se le pido sus cosas. Músculos y es muy divertida.
Gender inequity, in my view, is a question of expectations. We have a society that does not, in fact, support, in my opinion, does not offer enough support to women and to young girls who have certain interests. It's not considered in many cases the right thing to do to become a scientist, for example, or to become an engineer, even more extreme. And so what you find is that the data show that as kids get older, fewer and fewer girls say, well, I really want to be a civil engineer. It's just not something that is supported. And it continues. It continues even in academia. You will find in some colleges and in some departments attitudes that make it extremely difficult for women to pursue careers in science. I won't point to schools or names, but I've heard, for instance, of cases where male colleagues have said to women, you have to choose a career here or children. So I think the really fundamental problem of gender inequity is simply one of encouraging all kids to pursue the interests that they have and then providing them supports. I don't think it's basically a problem of cognitive and academic development.
The children are very cute, they used to say, but I don't want to see them anymore. Not listen to their stupid voices. Please, Milhouse, tell your friends to start explaining the result they have obtained.
Oh, but what an illusion to see you kneeling. Do not worry right now. I'm going to tell them.
To begin with, the clearest conclusion we have obtained is that the factors that most determines the differences between the thoughts of individuals is the socioeconomic level to which they belong, and their family, peer group, what they watch on TV, their school, that is, the agencies of socialization. Another important factor, for example, would be the knowledge based on the experience of children. An example of this would be that if in his or her group of friends everyone has the idea that makeup artist is a women's job, this individual can be influenced by them. Moreover, what the children see in their daily life is so important too, because if they have a doctor of the masculine sex, they will associate that doctor is a job of men. The same would happen in the opposite case. If the individual sees how most football matches broadcast on television are played by male, they will always relate this profession to men, not to women. In addition, if the child sees that the person who cleans at home is his or her mother, he or she will associate the job of cleaner or the occupation of housewife with women, not with men. We have seen this in the questionnaires, where when the mother was unemployed, the children said that they were housewives, whereas when the father was the unemployed one, the children only left the space without writing anything. But analyzing more closely, we could observe the following.
Age and maturity are not so relevant. It is, as already mentioned, the environment in which their ideals and thoughts are developed. There is no difference between the answers of the first and the last course, because both respond with current, that is, real and daily work. They do not refer to fantastic works like superhero, princess, or being rich. The difference is greater among the different schools. For example, in the school entirely composed of women, the expectative of work are of a medium-high economic level, as a lawyer, engineer, teacher, while the public school, formed mostly for immigrants, their expectations are much lower, as a pizza deliverer or waiter.
Regarding the jobs chosen by the individuals, both in the first and sixth grades of primary school, in the male gender the footballer's job predominates with a clear difference, whereas in the female gender the master and veterinary jobs predominate, being followed quite close by nursing. We have come to the conclusion that, in general, the chosen jobs are quite determined by the gender roles established in our society. In addition, the jobs that the boys want to work as require more physical effort than girls' ones, although there are always exceptions. We have also observed that girls have among their preferences more diversity of options. Instead, boys can be considered of more equal and similar tastes.
Next, the analysis of the parent jobs. We are going to analyze them according to a school since each of these present different circumstances. In the first place, Joaquín Tendero from Águilas and Luis de Mateo from Atún in Albacete. This school shows the mother have jobs as cleaner and housewives, along with the dedication to agriculture they share with men. Men also carry out works related to construction. These works are due to the fact that the schools are located in fields, areas where the most returning and necessary jobs are these. In second place, Narciso Yepes School, despite being in the center of Murcia, we can find many housewives and cleaners along with unemployed people and builders. These jobs are very similar to those discussed above, but in this case, it is because the school is mostly made up of immigrants, who do not have a high amount of money. Next, Maria Maroto School, which is located in the center of Murcia as well. In it, there is more diversity of jobs and a high economy level such as businessmen, teacher, administrative, etc. Finally, the concerted school, formed entirely by women. It is characterized by the fact that the parents' jobs are of a high economic level with high position and almost in its entirety with an university degrees. To understand what sixth grade elementary student thinks about who will do the best job of their parents, we have used the terms of synchronization or no synchronization, which mean that if the individual says that their mother's job will be better done by a woman and considered to be synchronized, whereas if this same job will be better done by a man, it is qualified as not synchronized. The same happens respectively in the jobs of the fathers. We can appreciate that in the case of the mother jobs. Synchrony and non-synchrony are the same level, that is 35% of the individuals consider that their mother jobs will be better performed by a woman and another 35% believe just the opposite. However, he reminds 35% of the individuals are positioned naturally thinking that it can be a job done by both sexes. Regarding the parents' job, the percentages change completely, since 45.8% of the individuals think that their father's jobs will be better done by a man. 0.85%, a single person of 118, thinks that this same job will be better played by a woman, and 54% remain in a neutral position. Therefore, there is an abysmal difference between the two graphs, where we discover that according to individuals, man is more capable of performing any job. In addition to this distinction, we made another one in which both the first and sixth grade children have to determine which job they prefer, their mother jobs or their father jobs. We have obtained quite similar results, since in their majority both courses do not choose any of the jobs, and in terms of synchrony, they opt for the father one.
If we look at the grades of the subjects of the first course, we will say that there is a big difference between those who prefer more creative subjects and those who prefer more theoretical, being higher the first ones. Regarding the students of the sixth year, the difference between the preference is not that big. although creative subjects also predominate. We have come to the conclusion that this is because the preference of subjects is not so relevant for the determination of jobs in ages like this. It is because especially the students of early ages opt for creative and dynamic subjects in which they can explore and at the same time do it in a fun way. We must emphasize that at older ages, students relate their preference to the job they later want to devote to. As we have said before, the choice of these subjects does not determine the job. For example, a girl chooses as her favorite subject physical education and music, and knowledge of the environment. When she wants to be a doctor, which is a job that is more related to the theoretical subjects. And a famous author called Morris observed that girls tend to direct considerable effort and attention to school, whereas boys took pride in their lack of academic effort as an aspect of their masculine identity. As a result, girls consistently have better work habits and a stronger preschool orientation.
In the first place, we will comment the general feature of all the individuals analyzed independently of the schools they belong, and later we will focus on the schools where the differences are most notable. Mostly, male subjects have chosen the option of both to determine who would be more apt to perform a certain job, except for firefighter, footballer, plumber, mechanic, engineer, electrician, and builder, who clearly predominates the choice of male sex. The female sex predominates in jobs such as dancer, makeup artist, and model. Despite, as we have said before, the choice of both predominates. There are many jobs which the society has tasked like boy or girl, that the children also reflect in their answers, following the roles that had been marked since their childhood. The female subjects, although they also consider many jobs suitable for both sexes, the differences between the previous graph is quite higher because the girls point out a higher difference between socially well-regarded jobs for men and women. For example, the jobs mentioned above. Comparing two schools in Murcia, Maria Maroto and the only 4 by girls, we observe clear differences. While in the first, the choice of individuals for each job is in entered both, in the feminine, clearly opted for a determined sex for each job.
The following study has been done with the purpose of discovering if the attitudes are also determined by gender and if this influence when they are performing a job. Regarding the individuals in attendance, it is observed that their responses correspond to the idea defined by society of both male and female attitudes. For example, kindness, cooperation, sincerity, order, patience, and sentimentality are usually associated to women, so children reflect this, as well as leadership, aggressiveness, energy, enterprising, and competitiveness related to men. These results are common for both sexes. Boys tend to be noisier, more physically active, and more easily distracted than are girls. Studies also find that masculine stereotypes portray boys as competitive, active, aggressive, and dominating, while girls are viewed as conciliatory and cooperative. Recent studies suggest that boys still verbally dominate the classroom.
Yeah, I also think so.
Yeah.
We need conclusion.
Dang, girls, are you still with this? You are so tired.
Okay, Paula, here are my conclusions. Burns note that sexual self-concept and parental influence is a clear role in the follow-up of non-traditional careers. Also, thus Betts and Figueral add that the most outstanding result in the development of the women's career seems to be the conflict between the mother's role and the worker's role. On the other hand, Fernandez states that the differences in the professional patterns of women and men are marked by the different occupations women resort to try to combine work and family.
Another of the variables that seem to have an important weight in the difference of career choice are the gender stereotypes. Gender stereotypes that are beliefs or thoughts that people have about what is specific to each sex are acquired in a learning process that, in addition to the cultural factors common to society, it is of fundamental importance the experience of interactions with the closest social model, the influence of the family and even the schools itself. It is notorious to note that at the time of the choice of studies and professions, social valid stereotypes still persist about what is considered proper or improper in women. The influence of these perpetual schemes directly affects women who have to choose one or another possibility, and also determines that the world of work continues to discriminate against women.
Finally, the differential treatment of men and women in the family will serve as a model for learning the sexual roles that are considered typical of each sex. For its part, the school, through the hidden curriculum, behavioral norms, educational resources, the organization of space, and the attitudes of teachers, reinforce the sexist stereotypes that have already begun in the family and transmits a series of values, attitudes, expectations, and skills that orient the two genders in different ways.